If you're a man over 60 who's been eating healthy vegetables because everyone says it's good for your heart, your weight, or your longevity, I need you to take a moment and stay with me. Because what if I told you that some of the vegetables you've been putting on your plate, even proudly, may actually be harming your manhood? That's right. They could be the reason your testosterone is slipping, your energy is fading, and your confidence, especially in the bedroom, just isn't what it used to be. My name's James Walker, and today I'll be guiding you through a conversation that might just change the way you look at your dinner plate. I'm joined by Dr. Michael Bennett, a board-certified urologist with more than 30 years of experience helping men just like you. Men who thought they were doing everything right, eating their greens, watching their salt, cutting back on red meat, only to find themselves more tired, more frustrated, and feeling less like the man they used to be. Dr. Bennett has spent decades listening to those concerns, and he noticed something surprising. Many of the men walking into his clinic weren't struggling because they were aging. They were struggling because they were eating the wrong kinds of vegetables, or preparing them in ways that stripped away their benefits. And in some cases, those very foods were actually accelerating hormonal imbalance, reducing blood flow, and silently inflaming the prostate. Now, this might sound a little shocking. After all, we're taught that vegetables are always good. But Dr. Bennett gently reminds us that not all vegetables are created equal. Especially when you're over 60, your body becomes more sensitive to hormonal shifts, circulation issues, and inflammation. What worked in your 30s might quietly work against you now. So what exactly are we talking about here? Dr. Bennett has identified 5 vegetables that may be doing more harm than good, especially if you're already dealing with fatigue, low libido, or prostate pressure. These aren't exotic or rare ingredients. Most of them are probably in your fridge right now, sitting next to the milk or tucked into your crisper drawer, looking innocent. But the compounds they carry, plant estrogens, inflammatory agents, and circulation blockers, can tip your hormone balance in the wrong direction. But here's the good news. Dr. Bennett doesn't just talk about the problems. He offers simple, powerful, science-backed solutions. In fact, for every vegetable he recommends avoiding, he offers a natural alternative, something you can start eating today to restore energy, sharpen focus, and gently support testosterone and blood flow without drugs or gimmicks. This isn't about fear, it's about understanding. It's about taking back control over your body, your performance, and your vitality, one choice at a time. You don't have to accept fatigue, poor circulation, or fading desire as your new normal. With the right guidance and a few small changes, you can feel more like yourself again. And that's why we're here. So stay with us. We're going to walk through what to avoid, what to embrace, and how just a few tweaks to your meals could help you feel clearer, stronger, and more confident in ways you may have thought were behind you. Because your body's still listening, and when you feed it what it truly needs, it responds. Let's begin. When George walked into Dr. Michael Bennett's office, he looked like the picture of health. At 67, he stayed active, kept up with his doctor visits, and ate what he believed was a clean, heart-friendly diet. But beneath that well-groomed exterior, George was carrying a quiet frustration. He sat down, took a breath, and said, "Doc, I'm tired. I've lost that fire. I sleep okay, my labs are mostly fine, but something's missing. I don't feel like myself anymore." Dr. Bennett listened carefully, as he always does. No signs of major illness, no red flags in George's medical chart. But one number stood out. His estrogen level was unusually high for a man his age. That was the moment Dr. Bennett leaned in and asked a simple question. "Tell me about your diet, George. What do you eat in a typical week?" George lit up. "Oh, I'm proud of it," he said. "I've cut out red meat, I drink soy milk every day, snack on edamame, and we cook with tofu at least 3 times a week. I switched years ago after reading it was good for my heart." That's when everything clicked. Because soy, while often labeled as a healthy plant-based protein, is also loaded with phytoestrogens. These are plant compounds that mimic estrogen in the human body. And while they may not cause an issue for most young women, for aging men, they can tip the delicate hormonal balance in a way that works against energy, strength, and performance. Dr. Bennett has seen this pattern many times in men over 60. Testosterone is already naturally declining. Add phytoestrogens to the mix, and the balance shifts even further. The result? Lower libido, slower recovery after activity, reduced stamina, and in many cases, inconsistent or disappearing erections. But the concern with soy doesn't stop at hormones. Research has linked excess soy consumption to increased inflammation and disruptions in thyroid function, especially in older adults. The thyroid, though often overlooked, plays a crucial role in energy, mood, and metabolism. When it's thrown off balance, it can make a man feel sluggish, anxious, or even depressed without knowing why. And here's the kicker. Many men don't even realize how much soy they're consuming. It's not just in tofu or soy milk. It's hidden in protein bars, salad dressings, packaged snacks, fake meats, and more. The food industry loves soy because it's cheap and versatile. But the male body, especially past 60, can be sensitive to even small amounts. Dr. Bennett didn't blame George. He praised him for trying to take care of himself. Then he suggested a gentle change, cut out soy for a few weeks and see how he felt. George agreed. 3 weeks later, he returned to the office with more energy, clearer thinking, and a quiet smile on his face. A month later, his wife sent Dr. Bennett a handwritten note. "You gave me my husband back," it said. Now, no one's saying soy is poison. For some people, in small amounts, it may be fine. But for men over 60, especially those dealing with fatigue, low libido, or prostate concerns, it's a food best used with caution or avoided altogether. There are other ways to get plant-based protein that don't interfere with your hormones. And when your energy, your strength, and your sense of manhood are at stake, it's worth rethinking what's on your plate. Your body deserves food that supports who you are and who you still have the power to become. Dennis was 72, a retired math teacher with a calm voice and a tidy notebook where he tracked his blood pressure, cholesterol, and daily meals. He came to see Dr. Michael Bennett not because of pain or illness, but because something wasn't adding up. He looked puzzled as he spoke. "Doc, I've been eating right. Beets almost every day. I read they help with blood flow, but my feet feel cold. And to be honest, things down there haven't improved." Dr. Bennett nodded and asked the question he'd learned to ask so many times before. "Are you eating them fresh or canned?" Dennis blinked and answered, "Mostly canned. Sometimes pickled too. They're just easier." And right there was the hidden culprit. You see, fresh red beets are packed with dietary nitrates, compounds that the body converts into nitric oxide, a molecule that tells your blood vessels to open up. That's essential for strong circulation to your brain, your legs, and yes, your most vital organ as a man. In fact, nitric oxide is the very same compound activated by popular prescription medications for erectile dysfunction. But here's where things get tricky. When beets are canned or pickled, the story changes. The high heat used in processing destroys a large portion of those precious nitrates. And the brining process, used to preserve and flavor pickled beets, adds significant amounts of sodium and vinegar, which actually constrict blood vessels. What started as a food for circulation turns into one that stiffens the arteries and drains blood flow from exactly where you need it most. Dr. Bennett examined Dennis's diet more closely and noticed something alarming. Dennis was consuming nearly twice the recommended daily sodium intake, much of it from those healthy vegetables in jars and cans. And when sodium levels climb too high, the body reduces nitric oxide production, which leads to weaker circulation and, for many older men, declining intimacy and energy. Dennis was stunned. "I thought I was helping myself," he said. "Turns out I've been working against myself without even knowing it." Dr. Bennett didn't scold him. Instead, he offered a small but powerful shift. Swap the canned beets for fresh ones, roast them with olive oil, and a pinch of sea salt. Nothing fancy, just real food, gently prepared. 2 weeks later, Dennis came back with color in his cheeks and warmth in his hands and feet. A month in, he had more stamina for his morning walks, and he shared something with a shy grin. "Doc," he said, "my wife is smiling at me in a way I haven't seen in years." This is what Dr. Bennett teaches all his patients now. Not all vegetables are created equal, and how they're prepared changes everything. A vegetable can be medicine in one form and a burden in another. So before you open that can or unscrew that jar, ask yourself, is this helping your blood vessels or silently closing them off? Real healing begins with real food, and sometimes, the most powerful change you can make is as simple as choosing what goes on your fork. When it comes to your vitality after 60, those little decisions matter more than you might think. Franklin was 75, a retired contractor with a firm handshake and stories that filled a room. He still walked every morning, helped his neighbors fix leaky faucets, and grilled vegetables for dinner like clockwork. But when he sat across from Dr. Michael Bennett, there was a hesitation in his voice that didn't match the man's usual spirit. "Doc," he said, "my knees ache more than usual, my back feels stiff, and I've lost sensation down there. It's not pain, it's more like nothing." Dr. Bennett had seen this before, an otherwise active man, eating what he thought was healthy, but slowly losing touch with the body he used to know. They reviewed Franklin's lab results. Nothing out of the ordinary. No major deficiencies, no alarming trends. So as always, Dr. Bennett asked about food. "Tell me what you've been eating lately." Franklin chuckled and said, "Grilled veggies almost every night. My wife bakes eggplant with tomato and cheese. Mediterranean style. It's our thing." That's when the doctor paused, because while eggplant sounds like a clean, heart-friendly option, it belongs to the nightshade family, a group of vegetables that includes tomatoes, peppers, and white potatoes. These veggies contain natural compounds called alkaloids. For some people, especially older adults, alkaloids can trigger low-grade inflammation in the joints and nervous system. It doesn't always show up as swelling. Sometimes, it shows up as numbness, stiffness, or reduced sensitivity in areas that matter deeply to a man's identity. For men like Franklin, who may already have age-related circulation issues, this inflammation adds another layer of complexity. You can think of the nervous system like a set of electrical wires. If those wires become inflamed, frayed, or dulled, the signal can't travel well, even if the power is still on. In Franklin's case, the lights were dimming not because of blood flow alone, but because his nerves weren't responding like they used to. Once Dr. Bennett explained the connection, Franklin was willing to try something different. They pulled eggplant from his meals and scaled back other nightshades. Within a few weeks, something shifted. The numbness in his lower body began to fade. His knees felt more flexible. Then, one morning, he returned to the office with a quiet smile and said, "Doc, it's coming back. I didn't realize how much I'd missed just feeling something again." This isn't to say that every man needs to fear tomatoes or peppers, but if you're noticing joint discomfort, pelvic numbness, or trouble with intimacy that seems out of place, it's worth looking at your relationship with nightshades, especially eggplant. The problem isn't the food itself, it's how your body reacts to it now, in this stage of life. Inflammation is sneaky, it doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it whispers in the form of silence, disconnect, or lost sensation. And that's why it's so important to listen, to your body, to your habits, and to the quiet signals that something isn't quite right. Dr. Bennett reminds us that real change often starts with awareness. A food that worked for you in your 40s might work against you in your 70s. That doesn't mean you're fragile. It means your body is evolving. And when you adjust with it, instead of resisting it, you open the door to healing, not just physically, but emotionally too. For Franklin, that door was just a dinner plate away. Wayne was 69, and on paper, he was doing almost everything right. He had cut back on processed foods, was eating more vegetables, and even added daily stretching to his routine. When he walked into Dr. Michael Bennett's office, he was hopeful. But behind that hopeful look was a quiet concern. "Doc," he said, "I've been steaming broccoli every night. I heard it's great for the prostate, and I haven't missed a single day. But lately, I feel more tired, I'm up 2 or 3 times a night to pee, and the bedroom, well, things just aren't the same." Dr. Bennett listened closely, then asked, "Wayne, tell me exactly how you prepare your broccoli." Wayne chuckled. "I steam the heck out of it. 10, sometimes 15 minutes. Sometimes I microwave it when I'm in a rush." That was all Dr. Bennett needed to hear. Broccoli is often praised as one of the healthiest foods a man over 60 can eat, especially when it comes to protecting the prostate and supporting hormone balance. But here's the truth that most people never hear. How you cook broccoli makes all the difference. Broccoli contains a powerful compound called sulforaphane. It's one of nature's best tools for detoxifying excess estrogen, reducing inflammation, and helping your body maintain healthy testosterone levels. Sulforaphane doesn't just benefit the prostate. It supports brain clarity, liver function, and even blood sugar balance. But sulforaphane is fragile. It breaks down easily with too much heat. The longer you cook broccoli, especially if you boil it or microwave it, the more of this healing compound disappears. What's left is a vegetable that still has fiber, but little of the power that made it so valuable in the first place. In fact, overcooking broccoli can turn it from a hormone helper into a plate of roughage that does little to support your aging body. When Dr. Bennett explained this to Wayne, the message landed. "I had no idea," Wayne said. "I thought I was doing everything right." It's a common experience among men who are genuinely trying to take care of themselves, but haven't been told the full story. Eating broccoli is good, but eating it right is better. Wayne made a simple change. He began steaming his broccoli lightly, just 3 minutes, no more. When he had time, he tossed it raw into a salad with olive oil and lemon juice. Within 2 weeks, something shifted. He started sleeping through the night. His mental fog began to lift, and one morning he leaned into the exam room and said with a grin, "Doc, I think my wife noticed too." Dr. Bennett often reminds his patients that small changes in how you prepare food can lead to big changes in how your body feels. After age 60, your metabolism slows, hormone levels shift, and your body becomes more sensitive to what helps and what doesn't. You don't need fancy supplements or a complicated diet, but you do need to pay attention to how your food is prepared. Broccoli still deserves a place on your plate. Just don't overcook it. Steam it gently, or eat it raw with a bit of healthy fat to help your body absorb the nutrients. Because when it's prepared with care, broccoli becomes more than a side dish. It becomes a quiet defender of your strength, your hormones, and your connection to the parts of life that matter most. And sometimes, that kind of quiet power is exactly what a man needs. Wayne was 69 and proud of the changes he'd made in his lifestyle. He traded fast food for vegetables, taken up evening walks with his wife, and followed his doctor's advice to the letter. When he sat down with Dr. Michael Bennett, he even joked, "Doc, I steam the life out of my broccoli every night. That stuff should win me an award." But behind the humor, there was a different story. Wayne had been waking up several times a night to urinate. He felt foggy in the mornings, and the spark in his relationship had quietly faded. "I'm doing everything right," he said. "So why do I feel like I'm fading?" Dr. Bennett smiled gently. He'd heard this before. Broccoli is one of the most powerful vegetables a man over 60 can eat, especially for supporting the prostate and balancing hormones. It contains sulforaphane, a compound that helps detox excess estrogen, reduces inflammation, and supports healthy testosterone levels. But here's the catch. Sulforaphane is highly sensitive to heat. When you boil or steam broccoli too long, or zap it in the microwave, you destroy nearly all of that healing compound. What you're left with is fiber and texture, but none of the protection your aging body needs. Wayne had unknowingly been stripping away the very nutrients he needed to feel stronger. He wasn't just missing out on benefits. He was reinforcing the fatigue, the fog, and the prostate pressure he was trying to fix. Once he understood the why, he made one small change. He began lightly steaming broccoli for just 2 to 3 minutes, or adding it raw into salads with olive oil and lemon. Within weeks, he noticed a difference. He slept more soundly, his energy returned, and he told Dr. Bennett, "Doc, my wife says I'm smiling more." But broccoli isn't the only vegetable that can backfire when not treated with care. Another one that often slips under the radar is celery. Charles, a 70-year-old former pilot, came in with a notebook filled with every supplement and smoothie he'd tried. "I drink celery juice every morning," he said proudly. "It's supposed to be cleansing." But Charles had been struggling with prostate discomfort, unpredictable energy, and hormonal shifts that didn't seem to make sense. Dr. Bennett took a closer look. Celery, when clean and organic, can be hydrating and supportive for digestion. But it also happens to be one of the vegetables most prone to pesticide residue. In fact, it frequently ranks near the top of the Environmental Working Group's list of contaminated produce. If not organic, celery can carry chemicals that mimic estrogen or disrupt the endocrine system, a dangerous mix for older men trying to maintain hormonal balance. Charles had been flooding his system with these residues every morning, thinking he was helping himself. But instead, those chemical traces may have been inflaming his prostate, reducing testosterone sensitivity, and quietly interfering with his progress. Once he switched to certified organic celery, or replaced it with safer greens, his symptoms began to ease. The bloating lessened, the discomfort faded, and his mood improved. It wasn't a magic cure, but it was a clear shift. Dr. Bennett often says that after 60, your body becomes more responsive to both harm and healing. The smallest things, how long you steam a vegetable, whether it's organic or conventional, can create ripple effects that show up in your energy, your clarity, and your most personal relationships. So if you've been trying hard, eating your vegetables, and still feel like something isn't right, maybe it's not about what you eat, but how you're eating it, and where it comes from. Healing isn't about eating more. It's about eating better, with intention and care. Because your body is listening. And sometimes, it's just waiting for you to treat it like it matters. Timothy was 71, a retired Air Force mechanic with a calm presence and steady hands. He had always been the dependable one, the man who could fix anything in the house, keep a routine, and show up for his family no matter what. But in recent years, something had changed. When he sat down with Dr. Michael Bennett, he didn't talk about aches or prescriptions. Instead, he looked down and said softly, "Doc, I'm not looking for miracles. I just want to feel like a man again." His wife had passed away 3 years earlier. Since then, he said the world felt muted. "I still want to live fully," he whispered. "I just don't know how to get there anymore." He hadn't felt sharp in his thoughts. His legs had become heavy, and his mornings, once filled with clarity and purpose, now started with a sense of flatness. Dr. Bennett asked about his meals. Timothy shrugged. Mostly beige. Toast, pasta, some meat, not much in the way of greens. That's when Dr. Bennett introduced him to something simple, something overlooked, a peppery leaf called arugula. To most people, arugula is just another salad green. But for men over 60, it can be something much more powerful. Arugula is rich in naturally occurring nitrates, compounds that the body converts into nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is the master key that unlocks your blood vessels, allowing them to relax and expand, so that oxygen-rich blood can flow where it's needed most. Unlike synthetic medications that force blood flow, often with side effects, arugula works with your body's own rhythm. It encourages healthy circulation not just to the brain and heart, but to the pelvic region, where so many men quietly struggle as they age. Better circulation means better performance, better recovery, and a deeper sense of confidence. Dr. Bennett asked Timothy to start small. Just a handful of arugula on his eggs in the morning, or a small salad with dinner. "You won't feel it in a day," he said, "but give your body a chance to remember what it can do." 1 week later, Timothy came back with a softness in his eyes. "Doc," he said, "I woke up this morning and felt alive, like something switched back on. It wasn't just physical. I felt lighter." His legs felt stronger on his walks. His mind felt clearer. And one morning, he looked in the mirror and smiled for the first time in months. That's the power of circulation, not just as a medical term, but as a lived experience. When blood flows freely, energy returns. Focus returns. And yes, intimacy returns. It doesn't require a pill. Sometimes, it just takes the right food, in the right amount, at the right time. Dr. Bennett reminds us that arugula is more than a garnish. It's a quiet ally in the fight to preserve manhood, especially when aging brings its share of challenges. It doesn't shout. It doesn't promise quick fixes. But day after day, bite after bite, it helps your body remember how to function as it was designed to. So if you've been feeling flat, foggy, or disconnected, consider what's missing from your plate. You don't need to overhaul your entire diet. Just add a few leaves of arugula, fresh and peppery, and let your body do the rest. Because sometimes, healing starts not with a big change, but with something small, green, and full of life. Gordon was 67, a retired landscape architect with a quiet smile and hands that still carried the strength of years spent working outdoors. When he first walked in to Dr. Michael Bennett's office, he didn't speak in medical terms. Instead, he said something that many older men feel but rarely voice out loud. "Doc, I miss feeling alive with my wife. We still love each other, but it's different now. I just want to get that spark back." Dr. Bennett listened closely. He'd heard this many times, from good men who had done everything they thought was right, taking their medications, going for walks, even watching their sugar and salt. But something inside still felt off. The body was slowing down, energy was harder to summon, and intimacy, once natural, now felt like a memory. That's when Dr. Bennett asked Gordon a simple question. "Have you tried fresh beets?" Gordon raised an eyebrow. "Beets? I thought those were just for lowering blood pressure." That's a common misunderstanding. Yes, beets can support blood pressure, but the secret lies deeper. Fresh beets, especially when roasted or gently steamed, are packed with natural nitrates, and those nitrates are the starting point for something powerful: nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the molecule your body produces to open up blood vessels, improve circulation, and support oxygen delivery to your heart, brain, muscles, and yes, your most intimate areas. It's the same biological pathway that medications for erectile health are built on. But instead of a synthetic pill, this comes from nature. No side effects, no sudden spikes, just nourishment that works with your body, not against it. Dr. Bennett asked Gordon to do something simple. Add roasted beets to dinner 3 times a week. Not the canned kind, not pickled, and definitely not drowned in sugar. Just slice them, toss them with olive oil, and roast them until tender. At first, Gordon didn't expect much. But by the second week, something shifted. His morning walks felt easier, his legs felt lighter. And at night, he noticed a quiet return of something he hadn't felt in years: warmth, responsiveness, desire. His wife noticed too. One evening she reached for his hand and smiled, a smile that said more than words ever could. "You're glowing again," she whispered. Gordon came back to Dr. Bennett's office with tears in his eyes. "I didn't think this was possible at my age, and all I did was change one thing on my plate." That's the quiet power of real food, when chosen with care. Dr. Bennett often reminds his patients, healing doesn't always require a breakthrough drug or a drastic intervention. Sometimes it begins with what you roast in your oven or lay on your fork. Fresh beets, when prepared right, don't just support circulation. They awaken the body's own healing mechanisms. They allow the blood to flow not only to the muscles and brain, but also to the parts of ourselves that connect us with love, confidence, and meaning. So if you've been feeling distant, tired, or dulled by time, ask yourself, is your blood truly flowing where it needs to go? Are your cells getting the oxygen they crave? You don't need to guess. Just start small. Pick up a few fresh beets, roast them with care, and give your body the raw material it needs to remember how to come alive again. Sometimes, one simple vegetable is all it takes to open the door back to yourself. Richardson was 74, a retired librarian with a sharp memory, a love for crossword puzzles, and a gentle sense of humor. When he sat down with Dr. Michael Bennett, he didn't talk about pain or fatigue. Instead, he chuckled and said, "Doc, I'm getting more steps in than I ever expected, just walking back and forth to the bathroom all night." Frequent nighttime urination, or nocturia, is something many older men quietly accept. They chalk it up to aging or an inevitable part of life. But Dr. Bennett sees it differently. He knows the prostate is often behind the scenes, quietly inflamed or enlarged, putting pressure on the bladder and disrupting sleep, and in many cases, slowly chipping away at energy, confidence, and sexual performance. That's when Dr. Bennett asked Richardson about his diet. "Do you eat tomatoes?" Richardson nodded. "Raw ones in salads, mostly. I've heard they're good for you." Dr. Bennett smiled gently. "They are, but there's a better way to eat them, especially for your prostate. You see, tomatoes are rich in a compound called lycopene, a powerful antioxidant known for its ability to reduce inflammation, especially in the prostate. But here's the key. Lycopene becomes significantly more bioavailable when tomatoes are cooked. That means your body can absorb and use it more effectively when it's in a sauce, soup, or roasted form rather than raw. Cooking breaks down the tomato cell walls and concentrates the lycopene. Adding a healthy fat, like olive oil, helps even more, since lycopene is fat-soluble. This simple shift in preparation turns an everyday food into a prostate-protecting powerhouse. Dr. Bennett encouraged Richardson to start incorporating cooked tomatoes into his dinners. Roasted cherry tomatoes with herbs, homemade marinara over steamed vegetables, or tomato-based lentil soup with garlic and olive oil. Nothing complicated. Just warm, nourishing meals that work with the body's natural needs. Over the next few weeks, something remarkable happened. Richardson reported waking up only once at night, sometimes not at all. His energy returned during the day, and something else shifted too. "I'm not sure if it's the tomatoes or the better sleep," he said, "but my wife and I feel closer lately, more connected." Dr. Bennett wasn't surprised. When the prostate is calmer and inflammation decreases, men often see improvements in not just urinary habits, but also sexual function and mood. It's all connected. Better sleep leads to better hormones support desire and performance, and better food choices make it all possible. The beauty of cooked tomatoes is in their simplicity. No prescription needed, no fancy supplements. Just a common kitchen staple, prepared in a way that helps the body heal and restore balance. So if you're waking up too often feeling sluggish or missing the spark in your relationship, consider what's on your plate. Is your body getting the nutrients it needs to protect your prostate and keep your energy steady? Are you giving your cells the right kind of fuel to reduce inflammation and support healthy blood flow? Sometimes, the answer isn't in a new pill or a drastic treatment. It's in an old habit. Cooking with love, eating with intention, and letting food become your medicine. For Richardson, it was a bowl of tomato soup. For you, it might be that simple too. Leonard was 70, a retired firefighter with silver hair, broad shoulders, and a quiet strength that showed in the way he held himself. But lately, something had changed. He came to see Dr. Michael Bennett not for pain or illness, but because he felt dull. "I'm still active," Leonard said, "but I've lost that spark. I miss feeling close to my wife the way I used to. Physically, emotionally, it's like something's been turned down." Dr. Bennett nodded. He'd heard this before. "Let's look at your testosterone levels," he said. Sure enough, Leonard's total testosterone was low normal, but that wasn't the whole story. What mattered more was how much of it was free, the portion available for the body to actually use. "Here's something most men don't know," Dr. Bennett explained. "You could have decent testosterone numbers, but if most of it's bound to a protein called SHBG, your body can't access it. It's like having money locked in a safe with no key." So the question became, how do we release that locked up testosterone? One of the answers surprised Leonard: spinach. Yes, that humble leafy green he used to ignore on his plate as a kid now held the key to restoring his vitality. Spinach is rich in magnesium, a mineral that plays a quiet but critical role in freeing up testosterone from SHBG, making it available for use in the body. More free testosterone means more energy, stronger drive, better focus, and yes, renewed connection and intimacy. Leonard agreed to start each morning with a small bowl of sautéed spinach, just a handful, lightly cooked with olive oil and garlic. He added it to scrambled eggs or stirred it into warm oats with savory spices. Within weeks, the difference was clear. He stood taller, laughed more, and one day he said something that stayed with Dr. Bennett. "Doc, I feel like I'm showing up again, not just as a husband, but as a man." Science backs this up. The 2011 study published in Biological Trace Element Research found that magnesium supplementation significantly increased free testosterone levels in both sedentary and active men. The best part? You don't need supplements if you're eating magnesium-rich foods like spinach regularly. And the benefits don't stop there. Spinach is also packed with nitrates, which improve blood flow, and iron, which supports oxygen delivery. It's a trifecta of support for circulation, energy, and hormonal health. Dr. Bennett reminds all his patients of this. Testosterone isn't just about performance, it's about presence. It affects your mood, your motivation, and your sense of self. And when it's supported naturally, through smart food choices, the results go far beyond the bedroom. So the next time you look at a pile of greens on your plate, remember Leonard, and the way a simple shift in the morning helped him feel fully alive again. That little scoop of spinach might be doing more than you think. It might just be the start of your own return to strength, connection, and confidence. Howard was 73, a retired train engineer who used to love long walks with his wife in the early morning mist. But lately, he found himself slowing down. His steps shorter, his breath shallower, his energy dimmed. "I've been waking up tired, even after a full night's sleep," he told Dr. Michael Bennett. "And when I do get moving, I feel like my body's just not flushing things out the way it used to. My lower back aches, my legs feel heavy, and intimacy is almost gone." Dr. Bennett knew exactly what Howard was describing. It was a combination of declining kidney efficiency, reduced circulation, and sluggish hormonal support, all common after 70, but not irreversible. He asked Howard about his diet, and one thing stood out: a lack of green vegetables, especially the kind that cleanse and energize from the inside out. That's when Dr. Bennett suggested something simple but powerful. Start with lightly steamed asparagus. Asparagus might look delicate on the plate, but inside, it's a powerhouse. It's rich in folate, a B vitamin that plays a vital role in cell repair and blood production. Folate also helps lower homocysteine, a compound linked to poor circulation and heart disease. That's especially important for older men, whose arteries are already under pressure from years of wear and tear. But that's just the beginning. Asparagus is also packed with natural nitrates, which the body converts into nitric oxide, helping open up blood vessels and restore blood flow where it matters most. For men like Howard, that means better circulation not only to the legs and brain, but also to the pelvic region, where healthy intimacy begins. Then there's vitamin E, an antioxidant in asparagus that supports reproductive health, especially in aging males. It protects cell membranes, reduces inflammation, and helps the body maintain hormone balance. Plus, asparagus acts as a natural diuretic, gently encouraging the kidneys to flush out toxins, reduce bloating, and take pressure off the lower back. Howard began with just 5 to 6 spears a day, lightly steamed to preserve the nutrients, never overcooked. He added a drizzle of olive oil and a sprinkle of black pepper. Within weeks, he started noticing changes. His energy in the mornings returned, his legs felt lighter, and the dull ache in his lower back eased. Even more importantly, his confidence came back. One afternoon he told Dr. Bennett, "I feel like something is clearing inside me, not just physically, but emotionally too." That's the quiet gift of healing foods. When your body starts working better, your spirit follows. Dr. Bennett now recommends asparagus to many of his older male patients, not as a magic cure, but as part of a real, practical shift in how they nourish themselves. Sometimes we forget that healing doesn't have to be hard, he says. It just has to be consistent. So if you're waking up with fatigue that coffee can't fix, or feeling distant from the vitality you once had, maybe it's time to look at your plate. A few tender spears of asparagus, steamed with care, could be the small, steady step toward feeling strong, connected, and whole once again. If there's one thing this journey has shown us, it's that not all vegetables are created equal. It's not about piling your plate high with greens and hoping for the best. It's about choosing the right vegetables, the ones that support your body's chemistry, and preparing them in ways that honor their healing power. Dr. Michael Bennett has worked with men for over 30 years, and he's seen a pattern. Many start with the best of intentions, eating more broccoli, more soy, more pickled beets, because they've heard that vegetables are always good. But then they sit across from him, confused and frustrated, wondering why their energy is low, their circulation weak, and their relationships strained. The truth is, food only works when it works for you. And often, the secret lies not in how much you eat, but in how wisely you choose and cook what goes on your plate. Think about the men we've met. George thought soy milk was helping him, but it quietly disrupted his hormones. Dennis believed canned beets would boost circulation, only to feel colder and more distant. Wayne overcooked his broccoli and lost the very compounds that protect the prostate. Charles juiced celery every morning, unaware of the chemical residue that was hurting him from the inside out. And yet, Timothy, Gordon, Richardson, Leonard, and Howard all made small shifts. They didn't reinvent their entire diets. They didn't give up everything they loved. They simply made better choices. Fresh arugula over bagged salad, roasted beets instead of pickled ones, lightly steamed asparagus instead of overcooked greens, tomatoes cooked slowly, spinach in the morning, and above all, listening to their own bodies. Those small steps led to big changes. Better blood flow, deeper connection with their partners, restored confidence, and a new sense of vitality they thought they'd lost forever. Aging doesn't mean decline. It means evolution. And evolution means adaptation, learning to feed yourself not just for survival, but for joy, connection, and strength. So I invite you now to pause and reflect. What small changes can you make today? Maybe it's checking your pantry and letting go of that can of pickled beets. Maybe it's picking up some fresh spinach or roasting your own tomatoes with olive oil and care. Maybe it's simply asking yourself, how do I feel after this meal, and listening with curiosity. Your body is still speaking to you. Your heart is still capable of love. Your hands still deserve warmth, and your spirit still longs to be seen. Let food become your ally, not your enemy. Let your plate reflect the man you're still becoming, wise, vibrant, and deeply alive. And if this message has touched something in you, if even one story reminded you of yourself, go ahead and hit subscribe. That small action is more than a click. It's a declaration. A commitment to keep learning, to keep growing, and to believe that the best chapter might still be ahead. You're not done yet, not even close.